10-star KIZUNA Clash can be a little bit of a pain, especially when you don't have a unit to build a one team versus all. However, there are lots of different options for each individual variation, as well as some big damage teams you guys are going to need later down the line if you guys want to rank high in the Super Boss event. Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving into the 10-star event against KIZUNA Clash PERONA for the final time as the preparation videos before we dive into the Super Boss. And in today's video, I have two variations for you guys to take down each particular type with a bunch of different units. I've kept one team very simple, and then I've made one sort of bigger damage team. Obviously, all these teams are subject to change, just like the Marco teams, just like the one team versus all, depending on how they look when the content comes forth. And all these teams should work past level 30. If you enjoy the video, it helps you out. Belt the like button for me. If you're new to the channel, you haven't done so already, hit that big red subscribe button. But with that said, let's dive in and let's take a look at the KIZUNA Clash. Alright, once again, huge shout out to OPTC Twitter for the information provided. We love infographics. Keep this stuff coming because infographics definitely help us out quite a lot. Now, there is a quick variation, a side variation, and a dex variation. We're going to start with quick, and like I said, I have two teams for each variation. So as mentioned, starting with quick, we do have a simple team, and then we have a more advanced team for some higher damage. All the teams in today's video will use a Bao Hung friend captain. That way you can actually maximize your token drops. The idea of your regular runs are you want to make sure you are getting the most tokens for Super Boss. For assists, it doesn't matter, so save those friend captains for the 10-star runs of your own. Whether you're suiciding, whether you're actually running it, make sure you use a Bao Hung friend captain. The first team is led by Crocodile, and it is a cerebral-based team, as cerebral and driven characters get all the good stuff. On stage 2, there's damage reduction and threshold. Robin and Jinbei take care of that. And on the final stage, there is a random type slots change, 1 turn of special reverse, 5 turns of attack down, which will turn to 6 after level 30, 2 turns of a 1 Wano tap barrier, and then there is paralysis after level 30 as well. So you basically need 2 turns of cooldown, 6 turns of attack down removal, 5 turns of paralysis, and get through a Wano barrier. So with Bao Hung, she takes care of pretty much everything on the final stage, except for the attack down and the paralysis. And for this team, you have a combination of 2 units. You have the Shirohoshi, who can actually remove both by 5 turns. So you're covered for 5 turns of paralysis, 5 turns of attack down, which works really nicely. And then you have this Law as well, who can also take care of despair and paralysis. So more paralysis removal there. You will just need a little bit more attack down removal. Attack down is like the big thing that we're missing here. But there are a bunch of other supports that you guys can definitely use to actually take this particular event down. There's a lot of supports that you guys can do. And one support that is actually very useful is this particular Luffy. He's a free-to-play character. You can pick him up in the treasure map shop. He removes 1 turn of attack down, and you're basically covered for level 30 plus. So other than that, we don't have any other supports on the team. Shirohoshi is replaceable with any other attack down remover. You could replace Robin Jinbei with damage reduction and threshold removal. As long as they're cerebral, as long as they're driven, they are going to work on this team. But we are using Crocodile. Crocodile is a super class cerebral unit. And because we have Robin on the team, we actually get access to that. Our orb booster is Rayleigh Gaban. Our attack booster is Crocodile. We have a chain boost with Law. We have color affinity with War. We have Wano slots thanks to Bao Hung. And we have base stats with her as well. So this team is pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty simple, as you guys can see there. And it should work. It shouldn't work for like super high levels, but it'll definitely get the job done. Upwards of level 50 and whatnot. On to the second team, though. This one is where it starts to get a little bit more extravagant. So it's led by Robin. Again, cerebral characters are the way to go when we are building, because remember, Bao Hung is a cerebral-based captain. 5.75. She makes Wano slots within orbs, and she does some of those types of shenanigans. A big character that's really, really useful for this particular fight is this Chopper. This Chopper can remove 5 turns of attack down, paralysis, and bind. And then if you have the Neko support, you get 2 more turns of attack down removal, taking care of all 6 turns. Sanji and Pudding, they can remove the damage reduction and threshold on stage 2, but you can easily use Robin and Jinbei here. Or, sorry, you can't use Robin and Jinbei here because we're using Robin, so that's the big reason we have Sanji and Pudding. To get around the paralysis, we have a combination of, well, Chopper just removes it, but we have a chain boost with the Mr. 1 support on Robin. Robin allows us to use 2 conditional boosts, and with the combination of Law and Queen, we can not only get a color affinity boost and an attack boost, but we also get a conditional against additional damage taken. So, very, very nice combination that we have going here. We have base stats, we have 2 conditionals, we have an attack boost, we have an orb boost that we can actually, well, actually, we can't increase it because Robin is our orb booster. So, it all works out pretty nicely here. So, that's the team that we're looking at for a higher damage number if you guys don't have the units. But if you guys do have some of the units, you can easily slide them in here. And I'll do a short, basically, with the boosted units to sort of showcase that. Moving on to Psy now. Dex and Int get all the good stuff. There's damage reduction and resilience on stage 2. And on the final stage, there's full immunity, unfavorable orbs, 5 turns of paralysis, which turns into 6 after level 30. 1 turn of damage null, which turns into 2. And you can only use 2 specials for 1 turn. Then, after level 30, you are going to take 5 turns of bind after sockets on your left-hand column. Very annoying stuff. So, the first team, it's pretty self-explanatory, pretty simple. It's led by Uta with a friend captain, Baohong. Baohong basically takes care of the damage null and takes care of the special use limit with her limit break. So, you do want to find a friend that has leveled this up if you are using more than 2 specials on the final stage. So, this team operates by using Uta on turn 1. Uta's amazing musical note buff will carry us into the final stage. And then to get around stage 2, we're just going to use Reiju. Reiju's not getting boosted under Baohong, but it doesn't matter. We're literally just using her to take care of stage 2. She gets around the resilience thanks to her poison, and she gives you damage reduction removal as well. So it works out really hunky-dory here, plus you have an attack and an orb boost thanks to Uta as well. On the final stage, you don't have to worry about paralysis thanks to Uta, and then we're basically just going to use Chopper to get around the binds. We have base stats with Baohong, we have resistance down thanks to Chopper, and then the other units on the team are completely replaceable. I just put Carrot and Nami here because a chain boundary unit would be very, very nice. Plus, they also give resistance down, but if you don't have them, you can use literally anyone else. Like, that's not a problem whatsoever. And then Marco's here just so we can actually get healing on top of his chain boost. The reason I wanted to use him for healing is because if we heal over a certain margin with both him and Chopper, we can actually get a chain multiplicative with Carrot and Nami. So that's the big reason that we have that going there. We have a super class with Uta as well, but you need to make sure that you use Chopper before you use this Marco. So, like, that's the big thing. But Marco, like I said, he's here for the heal, basically. So, you have Chain Boundary, you have Color Affinity, you have Resistance down, you have an Attack and Orb Boost, and you have the Increase, thanks to Uta's Superclass as well. So, that works quite nicely. Uta also heals, so you have a lot of healing here. Plus, you have a Final Tap with Uta as well. So, this team, it should do fairly nicely, and it's pretty self-explanatory. However, if you want some more damage, I did put together this particular team. Now, this particular team works very similar on stage 2, where you're just using Reiju to easily take care of the resilience as well as the damage reduction. Like, that's no issues whatsoever. You can activate Queen's Captain action here as well, which means you're going to do a lot more damage there too. And then on the final stage, we're just using Baohong to deal with the damage null and the unfavorable orbs. We're going to get Wano slots with this team, and it all works out hunky-dory there. Removing bind with Chopper once again. Chopper's amazing because he's color affinity and he's resistance down for cerebrals. We're using the combination of Law and Queen once again to give us a conditional boost, because all of these stages have full immunity. You need a way to get through that, and without Robin or without using something like Law, you really can't. So the Law Queen combination actually works exceptionally well here, because you have color affinity with Chopper, you have an orb boost with Nami and Robin, and then you have the attack boost with Law. Nami and Robin also remove paralysis. They're a very good hit stick, being a boosted unit, and they're actually getting their 6+, which you guys should be able to do fairly quickly, as this is a super boss. KIZUNA, you should be able to get their skulls very fast. So that's something to note there too. So they're replaceable with any other unit that you guys want to bring that can remove paralysis. It's only 6 turns of paralysis, so it's a chunky amount of paralysis. So getting the supports to do that might be a little bit challenging. I guess you could use stuff like Corazon. I guess you could use something like Jack on Queen. That's 3 turns, but then you still really need another way to get 3 more turns, and you're missing an orb boost as well. So, like, I guess you could use Robin as leader and then use the Bardo support on Robin. That way you get an extra conditional. You can use Robin's, what's it called? Robin's super class once again. Robin doesn't get cooldowns on this stage though, so that's the big problem. That's why I actually didn't include Robin here. If Robin got cooldowns, like you'd be laughing, but unfortunately Robin doesn't. So Bit of a shame. Bit of a shame. You might be able to stall it out, though, in the later stages. Just do that. But that's the team I put together. Let's move on to the final variation. The final variation is versus Dex, and this one was a little bit more interesting, to be honest, because there's not that many good strength cerebral characters, funny enough. But Slasher Cerebral's got all the good stuff. On stage 2, you get unfavorable orbs, 4 turns of despair, and 4 turns of special mind. Now, Stussy just takes care of this. This Stussy is so good, and she just got a level limit break expansion as well, and she was one of the characters that came out after the level limit break buff, so if you are a long time player, you'll just have her done, like myself. And she goes down to 6 turns with her cooldown, which is nuts, because she has the Sailor that can actually give herself 1 turn of cooldown when a shooter or cerebral uses a special, which means we're going to get that 6 turns back pretty goddamn fast. So, the way this team works, use Stussy on that turn to remove all of those nasty effects, and you're pretty much hunky-dory there. You can actually use Vivi on this stage as well. Vivi is going to get around the unfavorable slots, and she gives you 3 turns of an orb boost. Because we're rocking a full cerebral team, we have access to her super type as well, which is actually an attack boost, which is super nice there. So we can get a lot more damage out with her too. On the final stage, well, Vivi actually gets around special mind as well. That's another thing to note. But Stussy does too, so like it sort of just works out. If you don't have Stussy, you can just use another despair remover, I guess. But the reason Stussy's good is, so I'll come back to that in a second. On the final stage, you get block orbs, middle left, no, top left, bottom left, middle right get binded for 5 turns after sockets. You get attack down for 5 turns, and then after level 31, the bind goes up by 1 turn, the attack down goes up by 1 turn, there's damage null for 1 turn, and then if you rotate specials, you actually get super block orbs. Now this is where Bao Hong comes in handy, because she can rotate the what's it called, the block orbs into Wano slots, and then that way you don't have to deal with the super block. However, you need to get rid of the bind on her first, and that's where this Chopper comes into play. Chopper can not only remove the bind, but he can also remove the attack down. He gives you 1 turn of cooldown as well, plus that way that you can get Stussy back a lot faster. We have an orb boost and attack boost with Vivi. We have color affinity with Nami Robin. We have base stats with Bao Hong, full bottle Wano orbs, and then we also have a chain boundary, as well as a tap timing shenanigan with Kid Law. So that works nicely. You can use a support here for chain boosting, and then Stussy will have her special ready to go again, and she can actually increase the color affinity from Nami and Usopp, which is super nice. So pretty hunky-dory stuff here. Unfortunately, we don't have like conditional boost or anything like that, but this team definitely does. Once again, we're running the Queen and the Law combination for our conditional. Because Cerebrals get cooldowns, we have Robin once again to give us the very nice double conditional buff. Plus, she's then our orb booster for the team with her super class. It all works out super hunky-dory there. However, Chopper is also an orb booster for this team, which is super nice. He's actually a 2 times orb booster, and he can remove bind. So he removes bind by 6 turns, and then he gives you a 2 times orb boost, unless the enemy is poisoned, which the enemy is not going to be poisoned, so it is what it is. But he only does it for strength, dex, and quick, so unfortunately, that means Bao Hong isn't actually going to get that orb buff. So I would really recommend utilizing Robin before using Chopper, because Bao Hong is super effective against all types. So you do want to be mindful of that. Stussy is going to be our color affinity booster. She can remove the despair and the special bind on stage 2. And like I said, she's going to get her special back by the final stage. That works out quite nicely. We're also going to have... she's going to increase the color affinity of Queen, because Queen's color affinity is just way better. I keep forgetting that Queen actually does color affinity. Ideally with this team, you want to make sure that you use Robin's super class first, then use Chopper, so that way you can get around the bind. Then use your Bao Hong to give you a full bottle Wano slots. Use your Law special to give yourself an attack boost and the additional damage. And then use Queen, so that way you can actually get the conditional as well as the color affinity buff thanks to Queen there. On top of that, then you can increase that with Stussy, and this team should work fairly nicely. You have a final tap with Law too, but unfortunately full immunity kind of cucks that. So ideally I wouldn't tap with Law like last. I would definitely tap with something like Bao Hong last. But they're the teams. Like I said, there's pretty extravagant teams and there's pretty not extravagant teams. Hopefully it helps you guys out with the team building for this particular 10-star event. But if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's